At Boston Water and Sewer Commission. And on behalf of Boston Water, I say greetings and thank you to everyone here, of course to Mayor Wu, Assistant Commerce Secretary and Deputy NOAA Administrator Janie Bavishi, the Office of Workforce Development, and all partners and key contributors to the Greater Boston Climate and Coastal Resilience Alliance. Quite a mouthful, so we will henceforth call ourselves the Alliance to make it a little easier. It is Boston Water's stated mission to provide quality, cost-effective water and sewer services to the residents, businesses, and visitors of Boston. It is therefore both a natural and motivating extension of our mission to protect our coastal resiliency and to provide, both employment and training to the residents of Boston, to the hundreds of men and women who service our city 24/7. Our employees stand as a vanguard against all emergencies and circumstances that may stall that mission. But we do not stand alone. It is humbling and powerful to stand as both a training and employment partner in this great alliance of service to our city. It is in this light that we look forward to a long, fruitful, and powerfully impactful partnership that both protects our city and invigorates our talented workers and stakeholders. Thank you so much. And I would next like to introduce Senator Markey. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Stephen, and it's good to be here with Janie Bavishi and with Jason Harris. Thank you for all of your work. And Councilor Coletta, so good to see you. Love working with you on the East Boston waterfront to make sure that it is sustainable and it is going to be protected. And I'm thrilled to be here with our Green New Deal mayor, who is, again, turning Boston into a green monster. Fighting against climate change, fighting to make sure that Boston sets the example for the rest of the country and the rest of the world. And we're here to celebrate the nearly $10 million in federal funds for a landmark climate resilient workforce, a development program. And it's going to be spearheaded by the dedicated city officials, by business leaders, and worker champions of the city of Boston. And we thank everyone who has joined us here today, because it's going to take a team in order to put all of this in place. And there's no better place than Boston to discuss how we can tackle the climate crisis while creating good-paying jobs, because we know how to do the job of job creation, which is good for all of creation. That's what we have to do. God gave us this wonderful city that we call home, and we have to do everything we can to protect and to preserve it. We have an economic, a health, and a moral imperative to act on climate and environmental injustice. Climate-fueled disasters like the hurricanes we saw in the American Southeast this fall are just a preview of coming atrocities of tomorrow, and we have to get prepared. The two storms, Hurricane Helene and Milton, caused $300 billion worth of damage in 2 weeks. The entire defense budget of the United States is $800 billion. So it's coming, and we have to do our best in order to ensure that we invest in resilient communities today, led by the city of Boston. We have only two options with climate change: deny it or deal with it. We simply cannot dodge climate change. It's happening, and we here have the second fastest warming body of water in the United States. Some people call it the Gulf of Maine. We call it Boston Harbor. That's what we are dealing with. Just all of the conditions which could lead to a catastrophic event. But we know that Boston knows how to deal with a big problem with big, ambitious solutions. The city is responding to the call for action like it's a midnight climate message from Paul Revere. Climate change is coming. Climate change is coming. And in Massachusetts and in Boston, we don't wait, we create. And we are going to work in order to make sure these funds get in the hands of the city so that it can do the job. I fought to keep the Green New Deal principles of jobs and justice and climate action at the heart of the historic Inflation Reduction Act, which created the funding for the Climate Ready Workforce Program in the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. And I see Administrator Bach here as well, who's going to build it into the housing stock, the Green New Deal for housing in the city as well, because it has to be all-encompassing what we are going to do, because it will affect every part of our society. Those values all came together in the proposal from the Greater Boston Coastal Resilience Jobs Alliance, which is going to train 1,200 workers to be our climate crisis first responders, investing in water utility management, construction, community outreach, and other coastal resilience careers. So for these 1,200 young people, it won't just be a job, it'll be a career that they are being trained for in fighting climate change, in ensuring that the community is protected. That's what this is all about. In Boston, and Chelsea, and Revere have already secured more than $75 million in just 2 years from the Inflation Reduction Act and the bipartisan infrastructure law for resiliency projects that range from building climate-smart transportation corridors in Roxbury to greening the Chelsea Creek waterfront to making the MBTA Blue Line more flood-resistant. But all these projects will need well-paid, well-trained workers, and the Greater Boston Coastal Resilience Jobs Alliance is going to get those workers on the job and on the front lines of our fight to defend Greater Boston from the threat of climate change. We're fighting for a livable future, and this new grant program will build our future workforce with livable wages. This alliance is proof that our pillars of jobs and justice and climate action will provide the strongest foundation for a safe, healthy, and fair path forward. In the face of a climate denier-in-chief about to be sworn in the Oval Office, we must take action. It's obvious with all of the oil and gas and fracking people who he is naming to his cabinet at the Department of Interior, at the EPA, at the Department of Energy, that we will have to act here in Boston. Trump isn't naming a cabinet, he's naming a cartel, an oil and gas cartel, and we must protect ourselves against it. That's what we're talking about here today, that protection. 1,200 young people getting the job training they're going to need to do the work necessary to protect our city. So Boston right now is both sinking and a shining city on the hill, showing other localities and towns across the country how to lead, what to do. And we are very fortunate here in Massachusetts to have the mayor, the Green mayor, the Green New Deal mayor, the mayor who understands these issues better than any other mayor on the planet. It's my great honor to now introduce Mayor Michelle Wu.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much to Senator Markey and to all of our colleagues and allies and distinguished guests who are here with us from city, state, federal government, as well as, most importantly, across our community. We are, as you heard, in urgent times. And Boston is a city that has always been defined by our relationship to the water as a safe harbor for nearly 4 centuries to all those who have come, and as a coastal city that has, through thick and thin, needed to understand how to harness the power of the ocean and the benefits that it brings, while also protecting our communities against the impacts. I don't need to tell this room how many signs and signals we get every single week about why we need to act now. It's the sunny day flooding that happens multiple times a year. It's the intensity of storms, the heat that we're experiencing, the quality of life, and the economic protections that we need to make sure are in place now, even as other levels of government or other sources of action may be retreating. Boston is going to charge forward. We have no stronger champion at the federal level than Senator Markey. I am personally so grateful. I know our city is so grateful for all of your leadership to make sure that we're not just protecting against the harms to come and that are here, but harnessing the opportunity. And this program and our proposal that has been funded by an incredibly exciting grant from NOAA was only possible because we have had the roadmap and proof of what exists already, thanks to your partnership and thanks to your leadership, establishing the Climate Corps, pushing the Green New Deal, and making sure that we can tangibly take advantage of the many, many jobs that will be needed to keep that wealth building right in our communities. I'm so thankful to Janie Bavishi, our Deputy Administrator and Assistant Secretary of Commerce for NOAA, to City Councilor Gigi Coletta Zapata, who is the waterfront counselor, to Jason Harris, owner of Parterre Garden Services, and a representation of what it means for our local businesses to be involved at every stage of this. And of course, Stephen Burlack from our Water and Sewer Commission, and all of the many, many leaders that are taking care of not just making sure people have basic access to city services, but to do so in a way that is sustainable. As we look around this room, there are so many different city departments and partners that are already proving the case. We are at the city level, not just standing firm in the mission and the goal at a high level to make sure that Boston is leading the way. It's all about the nitty-gritty details here. And we have already put in place changes like making sure our green infrastructure team, led by Kate England, is resetting the defaults for how we pave pavement or how we design streets to make sure that they can absorb more flooding. Our Boston Housing Authority, under Administrator Bach, has already been prioritizing ways that we can use geothermal and other green infrastructure retrofits to help save money for residents and to ensure that they are living with the healthiest homes in Boston. Under our cabinet chiefs, worker empowerment and climate, Trin Nguyen and Brian Sweat, our teams are engaged it's fitting that they're standing right next to each other, again, to not just get things done, but make sure that the jobs and economic opportunities they're bringing are right here for our residents. And looking around the room, whether it's Oliver from our Environment Commission and Green New Deal Director, or others from various other departments in the city, on every front, every square inch, every bus shelter, we are trying to absorb water. We're trying to protect our residents and make sure that our city is a place that will be safe for generations to come. And the final city shout out I want to give is there's maybe no better example of what it means when this all comes together than Power Corps. So to Devo and the entire Power Corps team, give a wave. Thank you they're all squished in the corner over there, the seats are. They are the embodiment of what it means when community members roll up their sleeves, build a career in green infrastructure, and make a difference for many years to come, while also being able to help us tackle the challenges that we have right now. So how many cohorts have gone through at this point? 5th cohort of Power Corps doing HVAC training in terms of energy efficiency for buildings, as well as green infrastructure, and all our graduates keep getting snapped up right into the jobs that are being created, and they have been the template for this. So we know that Boston is the economic engine of New England. We're the national leader in education, healthcare, and biotechnology. Nearly 700,000 residents, nearly 900,000 jobs. But there's another number that is going to have a huge impact on our economy and communities: 47 miles of coastline. 47 miles of harbor, marshland rock, and seawall that meets the waves of the Atlantic. And so if we want to continue to be the best home for innovators, entrepreneurs, and working families, we need to not only invest in creating more jobs, but protecting our coast and our residents from the effects of climate change. This nearly $10 million in funding from NOAA is going to help us do all of that, in partnership with dozens of community partners across labor, academia, nonprofit, and the private sector. The Greater Boston Climate and Coastal Resilience Workforce Alliance, you're right, the Alliance, will create a pipeline of highly skilled workers ready to fill the good-paying jobs it will take to protect our communities from higher tides and stronger storms. With these employers, educators, and training providers, we will create and fill more than 1,200 coastal and climate resilience jobs over the next 4 years, right here in Boston. That's more than 1,200 mostly union jobs with the kinds of pay, benefits, and opportunities for advancement that working families need to be able to build wealth, raise a family, and thrive here in our city. And the city, our city government, is proud to have our skin in the game as well. We will be creating more than 500 new jobs across the Energy, Environment, and Open Space Cabinet, the Streets Cabinet, Boston Water and Sewer Commission, and the Boston Housing Authority, from green infrastructure installation and wastewater management to flood protection and emergency preparedness. We know that right now, the cost of living is making it difficult for families everywhere, not just here in Boston, but around the country. And in too many cases, that means that workers who want to step into a new industry or opportunity can't afford to take the upfront costs on of investing in what's needed to be able to get into that industry, even when that education and training would set them up for future success. That's unacceptable in Boston. We are a city that thinks long-term, and we refuse to leave talent on the table. And that's why, through the Alliance, we're also proud to be offering wraparound supports, like childcare and training stipends, that will make it easier for our workers to invest in a better future for themselves and their families. So once again, thank you to all of our partners across industries and sectors who are forging this alliance with us, and thank you to NOAA for helping us execute on our responsibility as a city to keep our community safe with a once-in-a-generation opportunity for Boston's workforce. To be a climate-ready city, we need a climate-ready workforce, and today's announcement helps us create that workforce, guaranteeing good jobs for Boston's families and a resilient coastline for generations to come. So I also want to thank our interpreters who are here today for many, many technical words being interpreted. And I will pass it on to City Councilor Gigi Coletta Zapata, who will be followed by Janie Bavishi and then Jason Harris.
Thank you so much, Mayor. I am just so thrilled to be here, to have the opportunity to say a few words as the chair of the Environmental Justice, Sustainability, and Parks Committee. I want to thank everybody for being here. I see some incredible, brilliant minds here in this office, or in this room, I guess, if you will, who are with us in this fight. I just want to thank you for your work day in and day out. I want to be sure to thank our federal leadership, Senator Markey. I got a chance to intern for the senator, actually, in Washington, D.C., and I got a chance to sit in meetings where he went toe-to-toe with some of our largest polluters, and it was a great education for me to understand what effective advocacy is. And so I just want to thank him so much for his advocacy, and I told him that I am so grateful that he's down there to help us in this fight as we stare down this existential threat of climate change. I also want to thank Mayor Michelle Wu for your leadership. I want to thank your cabinet members. They are all incredible individuals, and I know a lot of legwork went into this to make this a reality, so thank you so much. I want to be sure to recognize you. Also, our state partners and other federal partners. This $9.8 million is going to be a game changer for Boston's climate resilience and workforce development. There is a critical need, I think it's already been mentioned, but there is a critical need for a skilled workforce within the blue and green economies to address climate challenges, protect our coastlines, and ensure the sustainability of Boston's neighborhoods. And I am also very proud to represent, I think, the district with either the most or the second most coastal frontage. And so I know what will happen if we don't act. There are thousands of residents that stand to be displaced if we don't stand up and collectively work together in this fight. And this funding isn't just about resilience. It's about economic opportunity for nearly 1,300 individuals over the next 4 years. The newly launched alliance is a symbol of our collaborative approach that I mentioned, bringing together diverse stakeholders to build training programs and career pipelines. This is a step forward towards a more sustainable and inclusive and green Boston. I'm confident that this investment will not only protect our city, but also empower its residents with high-quality, forward-looking jobs. A lot has been said about attracting talent to Boston to address this crisis. What this investment does is affirm that we recognize that it is our young people here in Boston, those I meet in schools, at BCYF centers, and in the Power Corps, we're affirming that they have the brilliance and the potential to help us in this fight. And so I urge everyone to stay engaged, whether as a partner, trainee, or advocate, and just want to remind everybody that collective action will shape Boston's legacy as a climate leader. Together, we're not just preparing for the future, we're building it. Thank you, everybody. It's now my honor to introduce Janie Bavishi, Deputy Administrator and Secretary, Assistant Secretary of Commerce for Oceans and Atmosphere. NOAA, come on up.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Mayor Wu, for the warm introduction. I'm so excited to be here today to celebrate the Climate Ready Workforce Award to the Greater Boston Coastal Resilience Jobs Alliance. I have spent much of my career focused on helping communities like Boston prepare for, adapt, and build resilience to weather and climate events. Before coming to NOAA, I actually served as the director of the New York City Mayor's Office of Climate Resiliency. And I was actually just reminiscing on the fact that just 6 years ago, I came with wearing a different hat with my team in New York City to Boston to exchange lessons learned and strategies on how to build more resilient cities. So very excited to now be here to celebrate this award. But from my local experience, my work was focused on overseeing a plan to prepare the city for climate change and having members of our workforce trained in adaptation and resilient solutions was really critical to this effort. And that's why I know firsthand how important awards like this $10 million investment is to the city and the region. And it's made possible through NOAA's Climate Ready Workforce Initiative. This award was one of 9 amazing projects that NOAA's National Sea Grant College program supported with Inflation Reduction Act funding, which will train and place workers in good-paying jobs to combat the climate crisis in their communities and accelerate NOAA's efforts to build climate-ready nation. And thank you, Senator Markey, by the way, for all your advocacy to fight for this kind of funding for NOAA. Thanks to this grant funding, Boston's Office of Workforce Development will have resources to train and build a skilled climate resilience workforce to implement the climate resilience plans for the city of Boston, Massachusetts, and the region. Workers participating in this program will gain skills to help them understand and use climate information, design and implement nature-based solutions, and contribute to the city and region's emergency preparedness and response. And they will also be part of a cohort of projects and partnerships that are coming together across the nation to train workers in climate resilience, including programs focused on strengthening energy and water infrastructure in American Samoa, elevating homes and retrofitting buildings to mitigate flooding in Louisiana, and cultivating the next generation of tribal leaders prepared to steward natural resources in the face of changing environmental conditions in Washington state. These are all jobs that people are already doing, but they aren't always recognized as climate jobs. All of these projects demonstrate the importance and power of partnerships. Each of these Climate Ready Workforce Awards will bring together the strengths of regional, public, and private partners, including businesses, industries, universities, and colleges. Each project has developed training and job placement to address the most pressing climate resilience needs in their communities. And the power of partnerships is strongly demonstrated by the breadth and depth of partners here today. Thank you all for contributing to this important effort. The work you are and will lead to build a climate-ready workforce here in New England is so crucial to building thriving, prosperous communities. All communities and sectors are experiencing the impacts of climate change, and they're experiencing them now. In the 1980s, we saw a $1 billion disaster every 4 months. Today, we face one every 3 weeks. It's a stark reminder of the escalating risks we're up against. Here in New England, you are experiencing more devastating storms and more intense flood events and heat waves, and these impacts are affecting lives and livelihoods. And at the same time, the demand for adaptation and resilience solutions is increasing, and with that comes an increasing demand for a climate-ready workforce trained to help communities and businesses prepare for the impacts of climate change. Since 2018, city and state level climate adaptation plans and actions have risen by 32%. But translating those into action fairly and effectively is proving tougher. One barrier is the lack of a diverse, skilled workforce. We're grappling with how to make sure everyone from urban centers to rural communities gets a fair shot at building resilience. The Climate Ready Workforce Initiative is an opportunity to advance equitable workforce development and support historically underserved communities so that we can all thrive in the face of climate change. These same communities too often are on the sidelines of our labor market as well. Because of that, the Climate Ready Workforce Initiative focuses on recruiting people for training and jobs from underserved communities that are disproportionately affected by climate change. And to that end, we're so proud that this award will not only focus on training opportunities, but it will also include wraparound services such as career guidance, transportation, and childcare to reduce the barriers to participating in and completing the program. We're also proud that these programs will ensure that participants are securing good jobs. Good jobs are defined as involving recruitment and hiring, benefits, inclusion and accessibility, job security, good working conditions, good pay, and opportunities to develop skills and advance careers. The core goal of this initiative is to ensure that all American workers have good job opportunities and the ability to achieve economic mobility and security. So finally, I want to congratulate the City of Boston and all the partners represented here today who have skillfully designed an exciting and innovative program for training and job placement that will serve so many workers and employers in this region. And I'm thrilled that our team at NOAA and grantees like the City of Boston will be leading the charge. Thank you all, and with that, I'll hand over the microphone to Jason Harris.
All right, my first press conference, so this is very impressive. So my name is Jason Harris. I'm the owner of Parterre Garden Services. We are a landscape construction, design, build firm. We're currently in North Billerica. We're about $17 million. We've been in business for 25 years. Started the company with a very talented landscape architect, my business partner, Gregory Lombardi. Really, for the last 20 years, our staff has been at the lead of creating habitats using ecological restoration to give wildlife a diverse array of habitats, provide space for wildlife to respond to climate change. So we've been talking about this for 20 years. More recently, beginning in 2018, we began to work with the City of Boston to remove invasive species and to restore native species on urban wild sites such as Rosendale Wetland, Mattahunt Urban Wild, and several other Boston parks, Franklin Park. I think we did something with the giraffe exhibit or whatever, which was very cool and got me a lot of points with my kids. Since 2020, we've been more engaged in green infrastructure and understanding and learning and becoming thought leaders with green infrastructure. Our team has worked with Power Corp since then. We worked to maintain, restore, and retrofit 19 different green infrastructure sites. And we're currently working on 4 additional sites over the next 6 months. So we're excited by the opportunity. It's caused a great deal of growth in our company, and this conference and this relationship with Power Corp is very timely because of that. That's sort of the business side of it. But on a personal note, to me, this is really about the best of Boston in a way. I'm born and raised. I started my life above 23 Dartmouth Street above Haley House, which is a soup kitchen my parents started with friends of theirs in response to some of the challenges of the time, some of the Vietnam vets and people coming back from and being on the streets of Boston. And my father was a chef in the Air Force, and my mother was a very engaged, concerned individual about everything. which is great. And so they started this soup kitchen. I have a mother who's a teacher for 50 years. My wife is also a special ed teacher, and they've been involved in closing the opportunity gap for their entire careers, which is amazing. So when I think about this opportunity as an employer, I really see it, and I will also say, as a person in this industry, and it's in a great industry, the green industry, many people, there's a lot of successes, a lot of excellent careers to be had. I rarely see people that look like me, that are from the city, from the neighborhoods that I grew up in and started out. And that's a shame, because and I think Mayor Wu and Senator Markey both echoed this idea, is there's a difference between getting a job and having a career. And so what I see this as an opportunity to work with PowerCorp and just in general is to help young people understand what the real opportunity. As we all know, when you see great challenges, and there's probably no greater challenge than that we face right now, and Mother Nature is fairly undefeated, so we have a lot of work to do. But with any great challenge, there's always great opportunity on the other side. So when I talk to PowerCorp and some of those folks, I say, like, yes, we see this challenge, but understand it, learn it, gain expertise, and you can come out on a win on the other side. So, and I'm really excited by the chance. I think we have 2 PowerCorp people that we've offered jobs, or we will be offering jobs that will join my company, which is really important for us. We need people. We've grown from 20 people. We're expecting to be somewhere near 40 people in our ecological division. We do work from Cape Cod to Maine. We've just got a lot of work in Maine over the last several years. So we need these folks to do it. And for me, there's no greater win when you can take private, nonprofit, local government, even federal government, put them together to solve, to make creative, innovative solutions. That's what it's all about. It's what I get excited. It gets me out of bed in the morning, and I'm hoping to do more from it. So thank you to the City of Boston. Thank you to the Mayor's Office and everyone else for the opportunity to make a little bit of a difference in the way, and as this goes forward, I think it's going to make me very happy to do my share to see this happen.
Great. Any questions from the media on the grant and the program? For anyone up here?
Can you give us your thoughts in Spanish?
Oh, sure. Estamos hoy para anunciar un poco de anuncios muy emocionantes para la ciudad y para todos aquí. Es una creación de una alianza sobre la provisión de trabajos climáticos en la manera de infraestructura verde. Es importante en este momento con la urgencia del cambio climático en Boston y particularmente la inundación. Entre las 47 miles de la Tierra cerca de la Oceana, es importante crear los trabajos y los programas de entrenamiento para todos nuestros residentes y ser parte de esta fuerza laboral. Entonces, estoy muy agradecida a todos nuestros colaboradores en el gobierno municipal, estatal, federal y especialmente el departamento de NOAA, que es que ha proveído fondos para Boston para crear 1,200 trabajos en la próxima 4 años. So I will turn it over to our federal leaders as well, but I had the chance when many of us were down in DC to also meet with federal officials about the grants that the City of Boston has been awarded over the last 3 years of this federal administration and the status of what will happen as transitions also occur. This particular grant is already under from that perspective. It has been announced and also is now binding with legal language. We have been doing a review of all of our grants that have been awarded. We're very grateful that thanks to the senator and our federal delegation and the proof that's been made possible in the great applications and programs that have been put forward, Boston was awarded a significant amount of federal dollars, and we have a small number that we're still trying to make it into contract form in the next couple weeks as well.
No, again, the contract has been finalized, so the money is secure. And there may be some people who are going to be in the next administration who thinks that legally binding contracts do not have to be honored, but they're in for a rude awakening. So all of these contracts which the mayor has bid for and are going to be cutting-edge projects for a generation to come, that funding is secure.
Okay, thank you so much. And I would like to invite up all of our partners for a photo up here. We'll just all crowd onto this side of the room. Thank you for being with us.